evolution of positive health. It's about how health has evolved now towards a positive state and what it's about in this day and age. It was defined by the World Health Organization in 1948 as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Yet for some reason, focus has been on disease and infirmity, and we have assumed the elimination of that is the presence of health. But the concept of positive health is really much more complicated than, and it's more than that. And if we're going to see health differently, we really need a new lens for health. This new lens will provide us with new possibilities for better outcomes and new solutions. But the issue is, of course, can we see health differently? We're wondering, how have we trained ourselves to see things? What's going on that's trained us and said this is the way things are and the way we see things? This clip from What the Bleep Do We Know I think captures the idea really well.
In this infinite sea of potentials that exist around us, how come we keep recreating the same realities? Isn't it amazing that we have options and potentials that exist, but we're unaware of them? Is it possible that we're so conditioned to our daily lives, so conditioned to the way we create our lives, that we buy the idea that we have no control at all?
Well, the way our brain is wired up, we only see what we believe is possible. We match patterns that already exist within ourselves through conditioning. So a wonderful story that I believe is true is that when the Indians, the Native American Indians on the Caribbean islands, saw Columbus's ships approaching, they couldn't see them at all because it was so unlike anything they had ever seen before. They couldn't see it.
When Columbus's armada landed in the Caribbean, none of the natives were able to see the ships, even though they existed on the horizon. The reason that they never saw the ships was because they had no knowledge in their brains or no experience that clipper ships existed. So the shaman starts to notice that there's ripples out in the ocean, but he sees no ship, but he starts to wonder what's causing the effect. So every day he goes out and looks and looks and looks, and after a period of time, he's able to see the ships. And once he sees the ships, he tells everybody else that ships exist out there because everybody trusted and believed in him. They saw them also. We create reality. We're reality-producing machines. We create the effects of reality all the time.
Yeah, we're reality-creating machines. But really? Come on, you're telling me they couldn't see it until the shaman said it existed? I seriously doubted this until I thought about it a little bit more. I realized, are we really always seeing what's right in front of us? I know when I talk to my kids, I would point out that there was a big mess around and they need to pick things up when they're doing things before they go on to something else. They literally didn't see that mess that was around them. I really don't think they even saw it. I know when I was working on my lawn, my wife pointed out that I need to do the edges because it was kind of messy. I didn't see that. So now that I've started edging the lawn, the lawn's never done until I've edged it. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look done. It's amazing the difference it makes. I see it completely differently now. I think those people on Wall Street, they don't understand money the way you and I do. Millions of dollars don't mean the same thing, and I don't think they understand. I mean, every day these kind of things happen. You buy a blue car, you buy something different, and didn't think anybody had them, and all of a sudden now you notice everybody's got them, or they have a lot of blue cars, and you see it all the time. I'm sure you can think of many other examples that are just like this that are going on each day in your life where you hadn't seen it before, but now you see it. You go to a movie, each of you sees completely different things about what that movie meant and what you got out of it. We literally create our own reality. And I'm sure you can think of many of those things. I think that's true for health and how we've learned to understand what health is. We see health based on this evolution of what's happened. There's not really a bunch of dimensions of health. Really, there's just two big parts of health. First is the negative side of health. The thing that we notice first, we want to make sure we avoid this thing because it's terrible. It's a problem. And they say we have a responsibility for good health because it's a societal problem. And most often what we do is we react to this. We're reactive to being sick or the possibility of being sick. And then they go into this idea of prevention, that we need to prevent things. But even if prevention works, it doesn't create health, it creates nothing. It's the absence of something bad. It's not the presence of something good or the presence of health. It's the absence of illness or negative health. This whole idea, of course, fits right on top of the health, illness, wellness continuum. And on the left side, the thing that we always wanted to avoid and the thing that we tried to avoid was early death. This idea of early death, we said, well, that's what we want to avoid. And the things that came before that were some things like disability, symptoms, and signs. They said if we could treat those things, we're less likely to experience early death. So we developed the treatment model. And then we said, before the symptoms and signs, things like, there's other things that go on. There's things such as inactivity and poor food. If we could avoid those things, we wouldn't get the disability, signs, and symptoms, and we're less likely to experience early death. We identified these as risk factors, as something to avoid. And then before that, we realized there's things like bad genes. We could do maybe gene therapy, and if we did that, it's even less likely of early death. And then we were thinking, before that, there's things such as...
Stop right there! I gotta know right now before we go any further.
Yeah, before we go any further, some things are predisposed to health and they're predisposed to disease. Which are we going to manifest? What are we going to make happen? There's all kinds of things that are going on. And regardless of how much we know about negative health and the bad things and illness and disease and symptoms, the best we're going to do if we avoid those things is not be sick or be neutral and having nothing. When that's not really what we want. What we want is high-level wellness.
Yahoo!
We want to feel really good about things. We want to have wonderful things going on. We want high-level wellness. And that, of course, is the other side of health, the other dimension, which is positive side of health, something we need to approach. It's not going to come to us. We need to go get it. It's going to be there, and we need to get this high-level wellness if we want it. It's going to give us the potential we have to live the life we want. It's a real opportunity to have a better life. And it's truly proactive because it's about creating a state of health that couldn't exist if you didn't do what you do to create that positive health. It's creating a new state of health that wouldn't be there if you hadn't done those things. And it's something we have to promote. And positive health is what I refer to as wellness. Negative health would be illness. And then we realize the things that come before positive health are things like awareness, education, and growth. And this is what has evolved the wellness model. This wellness model took us not only from when we were sick, but also helped us grow to higher levels of wellness and more self-actualizing and having a better and better life. So we could have the things we wanted to in life. And the models that work with this, pathogenesis is about the origins of disease and tells us how not to be sick. Salutogenesis is the complementary model. It says, here's what the origins of health are and how we create health and what are the things that make health even better. So the traditional model with pathogenesis and disease focuses on not having something bad, assuming without the bad we'll get the good. But that's not always true just because we don't have bad. We need to create good things. So this approach, the positive approach, is how to get good, how to make good things happen, which literally changes the end point. It changes the end point from the absence of illness to the presence of health. Now the question is, are sickness and health really opposites? Are those two different things? Because the model we have right now certainly indicates that and suggests that that's what the case is for us. But I think this model is somewhat outdated, and we're going to need to think a little differently about it, because now the continuum is somewhat the opposite of premature death. Has gone from peak health to just the absence of illness. And if we want to create positive health, we're going to need a whole new axis, and a positive health axis, and what we can do to create positive health. Within those dimensions, for health, there's 7 dimensions: the social, intellectual, physical, vocational, spiritual, emotional, and environmental dimensions, all that contribute or take away from our health and well-being. And this, of course, underlies most of what health is and how we can, and what will positively and negatively affect it. Positive and negative health exist simultaneously. They're unique, but they're there at the same time and doing the same thing. Within this quadrants, there are matrices. Of course, there's poor health in the bottom left-hand corner, which is when someone's sick, but they're also not doing anything to make themselves well. And then over in the bottom right, there'll be someone who's not necessarily sick, but they're not doing anything to make their life better. They're just hanging on. And then what we're really doing is we're moving people to this protected health zone, so that people are just doing okay, and they're not necessarily sick, but they're not well either. When really what people want, not just to be protected health, what they want is optimal health. They want to feel like they're doing really well and getting everything they can out of life. And this is the positive outcome focus. This is where people need to focus, and this is what we need to go to have even better health. And the evolution to positive health has been to optimal well-being and doing better than we had done before. So our focus now should be on how do we create optimal well-being, regardless of your condition. What's going to optimize your situation?